almost every form of sugar gum. I know I've got children, and I go to the grocery store, and you cannot find it without it. It's in most of the over-the-counter medication you take, just spiked into pills you're supposed to just swallow anyways. It is in all sorts of different foods, tens of thousands. And it is addictive. It is a neurotoxin. And I talk to so many people, young and old, who are going, yeah, I got macular degeneration. I'm losing my sight. They won't tell me why. And it's well known in the studies that it made the monkeys go blind. And what do you think wood alcohol does? What do you think old moonshine that isn't made right and gets wood alcohol in it does? It makes you go blind. It's grain alcohol. It's what you want to be drinking if you're going to do that. It breaks down in, just look it up for yourself. And I know most of you know this, but it just illustrates how out of control the system is. Now, look at this article. And I've got a couple of these. New Jersey Assembly Panel passes bill to add fluoride to public water. I did a video on this last night. It's up at Infowars.com. Water companies in New Jersey would be required to add fluoride to the water supply under a bill approved Monday by an assembly panel at the urging of dentists and public health professionals, despite objections from environmentalists and utility officials. They don't tell you here that the majority of the EPA's and FDA scientists have gone public to Congress, thousands of them signing letters saying it gives you cancer, that it causes brain damage. They just act like urging from the dentist. You mean the American Dental Association, who's been forced to tell people under 5 not to brush with it? It says on the back it's poison. It actually causes dental fluorosis and dental problems. And it's not just sodium fluoride they're adding. It's toxic waste, hundreds of chemicals they call fluoride. But regardless, let's say it's the best thing since sliced bread. The government's going to force Medicaid us, and counties and cities pass laws saying get it out. Before it was just lobbyists paying them to do it. And they say, oh, we're going to pass a state law and make you do it. And then I saw an article, I've got it here in my stack out, where all over the country, Michigan was the first article I saw, they're coming in and saying, we've got to certify your well is safe. You've got to send in for testing every month to us. Why don't you just get on fluoridation? We're gonna tax you to use your own well water as well. Here's one out of Arkansas. State passes fluoridation law. Coalition created. And it goes on to say a statewide fluoridation measure and 2 other bills aimed at improving oral health in Arkansas were passed and signed into law. Pushed by the State Dental Association, who's paid off by the big chemical makers. And just type in fluoride bone cancer, fluoride brain damage, fluoride pineal gland, thyroid malfunction. You wonder why women all got their hair falling out, why women almost, now it's upward in some areas, half the women, on average it's over 30%, have thyroid problems. Just killing our women especially. And they just get away with it. They just get away with all of it. They think it's funny. And now in California, they're saying we're going to inoculate your kids without authorization. Okay, I want to make some announcements before we go to break and come back with Dr. Jerome Corsi. And then Alan Watt, always informative, is going to be joining us to look at the overall system of the New World Order. I'm going to be speaking at 2 different events. The Lakeway Theater, the 19th of February. It's a Sunday in Dallas, Texas. It only holds about 900 people. It sold out 6 years ago when I was there. So get your tickets at Infowars.com/events. It links through the Lakeway Theaters where you get them. For $25, that includes all the event fees and taxes and garbage. We're really charging about $18 when it gets to the end of it. You know, to see Glenn Beck's $500. And I know I could get people to pay that, but I don't want to fly around on private jets. It's $25. And again, we're also going to be in Florida on the 26th in Orlando, where we're #1 on the radio on 8:10 a.m., the big 8:10 a.m. They're putting on, I'll do my radio show live there as the doors open at 5 o'clock. Then at 7 Eastern, when the show's over, I'll get up and give an hour-and-a-half speech called Blueprint to Defeat the New World Order that I'm working on. And I'm working on a mini documentary that complements that, about 30 minutes long, that'll premiere at both. Get tickets at InfoWarsTeam.com. And, of course, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex station, a great station, is KKGM 1630 Blowtorch that carries us live during the day. We're on there right now as well. They're sponsoring it as well, so it's an association with all those folks. Find out more at Infowars.com/. And today is the last day. Thank you, John, for reminding me. I told him to remind me yesterday. It's the last day for the early bird special that we've done in December and then in January. 44% off on a yearly membership. You pay for 6.7 months. You get 5.3 months free. You get the nightly news, all my films, my book, Paul Watson's book, the higher quality video and audio podcast, commercial free, and so much more. 9 years in April. We've had Prisonplanet.tv, and we have a 15-day free trial as well. We'll be right back. All right, we are now into hour number 2. Dr. Jerome Corsi is going to be joining us coming up in the next segment. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And as you know, it has now come out that Obama is in contempt of court. Obama's lawyers outlined subpoena defense for court appearance. That came out last week, but then they didn't show up. Obama accused of contempt of court in birther hearing. Secretary of State warns Obama, mishearing at your own peril, and he did miss it. So we're going to be talking about that, and then global anti-globalist researcher Alan Watt is going to be joining us as well. And I will open the phones up for Dr. Corsi for your questions, specifically surrounding the birth certificate. You agree with him, you disagree, you've got questions. He's a very credible researcher, and all I can say is, you look at the fact that even the federal government threw his dad out of the country and said, looks like it's a sham marriage. His dad looks nothing like him. George W. Bush, it turns out, quietly during the election sent letters to the Kenyan government. They went and looked for his birth records and said that they'd been removed. Why would there even be birth records there if he wasn't born there? And his grandma says he was born there. And then really the coup de grace that I'll repeat when we come back from break, because some stations don't carry this segment. The creme de la creme, the final blow, is the fact that he used somebody else's Social Security number. Question is, who gave him that? Well, the fact is his whole family was CIA. He was given a Connecticut Social Security number and allowed to use it and didn't get in trouble when it was pointed out. So this is really starting to come to a head. We're going to be discussing that with Dr. Corsi. Now, I don't feel like I got angry enough. Last night, when Aaron Dykes walked in here at about 6 o'clock, and said, have you seen that New Jersey passed a law that you're forcibly fluoridated? I just shot a video right there on my iPhone and uploaded it. I was so mad. And then today, again, it's almost like I've just been conditioned to accept their criminality. All over the United States, they're strong-arming. The feds are coming in with money. Companies are coming in, buying off politicians, getting involved in local elections, or having state legislatures pass laws that, according to the Nuremberg Code, are unconstitutional. You cannot forcibly medicate somebody or experiment on them. And now government's saying we want to put statins in the water, lithium in the water. The federal government's proposing it. They're proposing making U.S. troops take lithium because they're committing suicide so much. Oh, yeah, turn them all into drug heads because you're not paying them enough to live. Their families are falling apart. They're sick from DU. I was reading other articles last night about the tank crew guys that maintenance them and how they're all dying of cancer. I mean, because they're using DU that ignites in the barrel, and you're cleaning that out, and you're breathing it. Of course, they're stealing the pension funds of the military. In fact, here's an article out of Natural News, but it links through to the State Department and Treasury Department announcements. U.S. Treasury raids federal employee pension funds to cover debts. There's a saying: desperate times call for desperate measures. They've been changing the laws for years to take pensions. Bush actually did that. I told you they're coming for him. Roughly, it's an expression that means to be reassuring, conjuring up an image of a true statesman-like leader who is prepared to do whatever is necessary to lead the masses out of danger. Of course, the expression doesn't mean the same connotation when it's applied to Obama administration. It's futile struggle to balance the national books. They don't want to balance it. They're wrecking us for offshore banks. It's globalism. In a letter to Congress earlier this week, Treasury Secretary Geithner said he would be unable to invest fully the federal employees' retirement system. And then it goes on to talk about setting up IOUs and rating that like they've already done Social Security. I'll get to more of that later. It's just the criminals that run government are acting like nothing's going to be even here soon. All these years they've run the hoax that it's the law to take vaccines. And as record numbers of people refuse to take vaccines, they're now passing laws in California and other areas saying we'll vaccinate your children without parental consent. It's the same thing in the provinces or sub-states up in Canada. They have Calgary and other big cities and areas saying that they are not going to fluoridate anymore. So their federal government's rushing in, trying to get the provincial government to pass those laws. This is the control freak government. And I just cannot get over the fact that in New Jersey now and in Arkansas, they've passed laws saying you must drink fluoridated water. And this only happened as the citizens got involved and went in and started getting their counties, their cities to remove it. I mean, they just had a county would have over 1 million people in Florida remove it 2 months ago. I mean, it's because they have medical doctors going up and showing them the admitted studies of cancer, brain damage, and that it's not just fluoride they add. It's hundreds of toxic chemicals left over from the aluminum smelting industry, nuclear weapons production, and the phosphate mining. This is stuff they can't put on the crops from the phosphate mines for fertilizer, but then they put it in your water. Industry lobbyists got government in the 50s to put it in your water. And it just shows how criminal these people are. And now they're talking about forcibly putting lithium in our water and statins in our water. So we're healthy and making 3-year-olds start taking statins. Later, I want to get into a London Times article from 2009 because I noticed in their archives they've removed it, but we had saved it. Billionaire club in bid to curb overpopulation. We just saved a snippet. Global Research, it turned out, saved the whole thing. We do that because they'll deep six these. ABC News reported on Bill Gates and others meeting in secret for plans to reduce world population, George Soros, Warren Buffett. And that's what their initiatives really are about, reducing population. I'm going to put together a report in the next week just showing clips of Bill Gates where he admits this versus, oh, he's doing all this to take care of everybody. Very, very important. I want to get into that. We're working on getting Dr. Corsi on. He's having a Skype problem, or we are right now. Hillary Clinton urges Security Council to act on Syria. That's big news we're going to get into. Also, is Monsanto buying out Whole Foods? We've done the research. The answer is no. But they've used the government basically to pressure their GMOs onto their store shelves. And that's why for now about a year, they have signs up saying, we capitulate. It's most of the crops are GMO now. You're going to have to eat it. So that's a big deal. We're going to be getting in to that report. Also more on scientists creating bird flu superbug that could set off next global pandemic while posing as our saviors. That's what the globalists are constantly doing. But to understand all of this, the system sells us that they're taking our rights and liberties to protect us. But then statistically, government is the #1 cause of death via these control freaks. By the way, a program note, we secured several thousand of Bloodlines of the Illuminati, all that there are right now in print, because it was from such a small little on-demand place that was essentially out of print. And we couldn't even secure a supply of it, so I went ahead and just paid, working with the author, to print a bunch of these, and I thought we'd have 6 months supply. In just 5 days, we've sold out around a third, I guess, of the books we have. It's going to end up completely selling out at this pace in a week or two. So if you want to get Bloodlines of the Illuminati before we sell out of it again, it's available at Infowars.com. This has always been an extremely hot book. This thing sells for as high as, $200, $300, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times what we sell it for on Amazon and eBay. Check it out for yourself. So you can get the phone book size book full of documents, you name it.